Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday morning. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you're going to have a wonderful day. All right. Day's just beginning. It's 7 in the morning. Anyway, I am today ripping off Elliotte Friedman. All apologies there. I'm not going to 32 thoughts. 13's enough. Um, yeah. 13 thoughts with the Fed League Flash today. This is just kind of a summation of some of the things that has been on people's minds in regards to the Fed as of late. First thought, yes. What is going on with the expansion draft? All right, I got an answer directly from Sarge, the vice commissioner of the league. His quote to me was, "This is a moving target. At this time, no date and really no conditions yet due to the uncertainty with teams' status. This is a fluid situation. One team looking for ownership, assistance with ownership, and until everything is resolved there, they're not setting a date for the expansion draft. And of course, somewhat depending on that situation, the conditions of the draft may change from what we were originally told. Originally, it was just going to be, well, the new teams get 12 picks each, and then the non-playoff teams from last year are getting 2 picks each. But that can change. So that's where we are at with that at this point in time. All right. People have asked me, how are these teams able to sign players? Well, now, in Monroe's case, they're an expansion team, so they're not really impacted by the expansion draft because they're going to be gaining players, not losing players. Um, but a lot of teams have signed players, and we're going to talk about some of them a little bit later on. All right. So they are able to sign PTO contracts, but not a standard contract with the teams at this point. If obviously if they were to sign a regular contract, well, then they would become available in the draft, and these are all new players coming in, so yeah, they're not going to be subject to the expansion draft. So for now, for the time being, players are able to sign PTO contracts. And if you think about it, with the summer contracts, you're building up an overall roster that you're going to bring in for your training camp at the end of September, early October, to try out and make your final roster. So there's no guarantee that PTOs are going to end up being on the teams on opening day. All right, season ticket sales going pretty good in several markets. I've heard really, really good reports from Monroe, from Danville, and from Baton Rouge. Now, with Monroe, uh, their new arena, or well, it's not a new arena, but the arena that they are going to be playing in this next year seats about 5,600 people. They have received almost 3,500 requests for season tickets and season ticket info. So if the majority of those people ended up getting season tickets, let's say 3,000 end up with season tickets, you're already filling the arena to 60% capacity, and you haven't even gotten to single game sales yet. So that's phenomenal. So Monroe could be a big factor in overall attendance this next year. For Danville, they have a smaller arena. It's 2,350, and they've received over 1,000 requests for season ticket information. So that's a really good start for them as well. And Baton Rouge, I'm hearing that there is an uptick in season ticket sales. I would assume that part of that is due to the fact that now they've got an in state rival in Monroe, and that's going to generate a lot more fans. So, kind of a carryover effect. Obviously, Monroe's success already is impacting Baton Rouge's success. So, this is a real good thing at this point. I have not yet heard anything about ticket sales, how they are going in either um, Hudson Valley or Athens at this point. Still waiting to hear on that. All right, divisional alignment. That is to be announced. As again, we have that one team trying to figure out things with ownership, trying to see what's going on. So, depending on that, that may affect how um, teams are aligned. Is it a north south deal, or is there going to be more of an east west thing going on? We will find out. That will be announced after the date for the expansion draft is announced. All right. And from there, the schedule will also be released, which there is a schedule matrix that has been already given to the team GMs and the coaches and the owners to look at and peruse, but it's not set in stone. It's kind of a rough draft, if you will. All right. Ryan Warsofsky. Yeah. He is now the head coach of the San Jose Sharks. And yeah, there was an article done by the Facebook page for the FPHL, um, you know, reveling in the fact that, hey, somebody who played in the Fed is now in the NHL. Now, to be fair, Warsofsky did only play in one game with the old Cape Cod Bluefins during the Fed's second season. I think, though, that we are going to be seeing in the next couple of years players who are, or people who are more of a regular fixture in the Fed making the NHL, whether it be a coach or a player, something to that effect. So maybe a scout. So yeah, it's coming. There will eventually be someone who's like, hey, this person played 2-3 years in the Fed and now they're in the NHL. It's gonna happen. It's inevitable. All right. Signings. Let's go through those. All right. These were all, again, PTOs. For the Port Huron Prowlers, they signed Richard Petco. He's a local guy. He was born in Port Huron. Could not find any hockey information on him, so I don't know if maybe he's just somebody coming out of high school or preparatory school looking for his first chance at pro. But I didn't see anything on either Hockey DB or on Elite Prospects. But as we've seen, there's been plenty of surprises that have appeared in the Fed before. Someone comes in and you're like, who is this guy? And then you see them play and it's like, oh, this guy's pretty good. So we'll see if Petco can fit that bill. Also, they signed defenseman Ben Brockway, who was at Worcester State University, a stay-at-home defenseman. He doesn't have gaudy stats, but as we've seen with some teams this last year, some teams figured out that defense wins you games. And so just because somebody doesn't have really impressive stats doesn't mean that they aren't going to be a very important piece of the puzzle to that team. So Port Huron taking a chance on Ben Brockway, a big guy, 6'3", 215 pounds, so he can throw his weight around. But yeah, he's going to be on the summer roster for the Port Huron Prowlers. For the Baton Rouge Zydeco, Shane Haggerty came back. Now, he only played 2 games towards the end of the year with Baton Rouge, but this was at a time when Baton Rouge was performing very well. and he had an assist in those 2 games. Now, he comes from Grand Valley State University, which is an ACHA school. Um, the year before that, he played in juniors, had 190. I'm sorry, no, I'm looking at the wrong person. Grand Valley State, 136 games played over 4 years, 198 points, 73 goals. So, yeah, Baton Rouge is expecting big things out of Shane Haggerty, assuming that his game is going to translate to the pro level. For Danbury, Corey Anderson. If you are a hat trick fan, that name sounds familiar. Yep, that's because Anderson played for the hat tricks the first 2 seasons and played very well. 56 games, 85. No, I'm sorry, 56 goals in 85 games, 88 points. So he's a point per game player. So he's back in the fold, and we'll see how things go with him this upcoming season. Watertown, they signed 3. They signed Kyle Heitzner, who's kind of bounced around from team to team, a few games here, a few games there. He's got 15 games overall in the Fed, 15 points. He's seen as kind of a power forward type. You've got defenseman Ludwell Harris Jr. He is back. He hasn't played in a while. The last pro activity that he had was in the Fed in 2016 to 17. He's a member of the old Watertown Privateers, so he's been around a while. He's a KG veteran. 101 points, 50 goals in 103 games. Again, point per game player, and from the blue line, so we'll see if he can catch lightning twice in a bottle. And then also they signed Kellen Rosenbaum, who spent 3 years at Niagara University. The year before playing for Niagara University, he played for the Niagara Whalers in the GMHL and had 103 points in 41 games. So, again, Watertown hoping for some offensive magic there. All right, going to Mississippi. It wasn't really widely announced, but yes, Joaquin Nilsson, who was, I believe, 3rd in the team in scoring last year, he has opted to go back to Sweden. Last year was his first year not playing in Sweden. He has several years of experience in Sweden, and he's from Sweden. So, anyway, yes, he is elected to go back to Alvestra SK. So that's some offense that's going to be missing from Mississippi this upcoming year that they'll have to figure out how to replace. Big signing, especially with recognition. Moccasin signing Mo Levac. This was a few days ago. Levac, he has been around and is a great mentor to younger players. He's had some coaching experience as well. 347 games of Fed experience, but he also has 104 games in the SPHL. He played Knoxville last year, and 17 ECHL contests, and he even played 60 games in the old Central Hockey League. So overall, in minor hockey, in minor pro hockey, he has played 528 games, playing since when he broke in as a rookie in 2010-11. So that's some big-time leadership for the Moccasins coming in. Close rivals, close neighbors. This last year, the closest 2 teams were Port Huron and Motor City. They were 48 miles apart. Well, this year now, with the Hudson Valley Venom playing in Newburgh as opposed to Poughkeepsie, they are now the closest rival in several years in the Fed, only 44 miles away from Danbury, excuse me. So that's going to make it a real easy road trip there for both teams. Conversely, you have Baton Rouge to Watertown is 1,500 miles, but anyway. Going to go a little bit over here, but not by much. Final thought. How many teams can crack 100,000 fans? This last year we had two. We had Binghamton and Baton Rouge. Both of them drew over 110,000 fans, actually. Columbus was really close for a second straight year, 98,000 plus. I think this year with an in-state rival in Athens that they can break that and they can get over that 100,000 hump. Now, to reach 100,000, you have to have an arena that seats at least 3,571. Well, now we have 7 arenas. We have Athens, 5,500. Blue Ridge is going to be in that group, 3,600. Binghamton, 4,983. Baton Rouge seats 8,900. Columbus seats 7,200 plus. Mississippi, 9,150. And now Monroe, 5,600. So there's 7 teams that could mathematically do it. I think it's very likely that we have 4 teams this year draw 100,000 fans, and I have pegged for that Binghamton, Baton Rouge, Columbus, and Monroe. Obviously, with Monroe, they've got, it looks like they're going to have 3,000 fans right from the get-go filling every seat. So I think they hit 100,000. I think Baton Rouge, they're going to have an uptick in attendance and sales. Binghamton, defending champs, there's going to be a lot of interest there. And again, Columbus with an in-state rival now, I think they cleared that 100,000 hump. So yeah, 4 teams we could see, which is good. That's great for the league. All right, so those are my 13 thoughts. Let me know what you think. Any additional questions or thoughts that you have, leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you're hitting like and subscribe, and make sure to follow me on Facebook. Our next broadcast will be Tuesday on Facebook around 8 o'clock in the morning. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Gary Ryan for the Fed League Flash. Again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend.